Welcome to GRCAM Monthly Virtual Interactive Conference. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbie. I'm the founder, president, and CEO of GRCAM, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. On this platform, we discuss authentic urban news across the diaspora and what's happening in Africa. If you're joining us for the first time, please hit that like button, share, and subscribe button on my YouTube page. Please help us grow our YouTube channel by subscribing and sharing our content. If the sound does not come out clearly, then we recommend that you read my Medium transcript located in the comment section below this audio podcast. We encourage our listeners worldwide to engage with us by leaving a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast. Help make our audio podcast and our video podcast go viral by sharing my YouTube page with all of your friends on all social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Disclaimer. This content is for educational and informational purpose only. It is based on public available reports and verified media sources. We fully comply with YouTube's community guidelines. We do not promote violence, hate, or misinformation in any form. This podcast is available in 3 forms: audio, video, and also as a written text in order for us to reach our audience. Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast is our Black media component. I want to do more than just news and social commentary, but at this point in time, this is where I'm at. It doesn't matter how bad I want to get my Christian business up and running in Chicago. Without financial support from the Black grassroots and the global African family, then I am unable to do my God-given assignment, which is to build the best African American business within the United States of America, specifically here in Chicago, with the help of GRCAM members. Because I can't do this alone. This is a Nehemiah assignment. For 34 years, I have sacrificed my life trying to recruit like-minded Black Americans in Chicago, in real life as well as online. However, a majority of them tell me they're not interested. It is what it is. This is why I created this platform, to broadcast my vision and plan to like-minded Black Americans beyond Chicago and like-minded African immigrants across the United States of America, for them to join my virtual Christian organization, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. That's all I'm trying to do. And again, 34 years, this is unacceptable, ladies and gentlemen. It's unacceptable. And this is why I'm reaching out to the global African family. If you're serious about me bringing my Christian business to the African continent, then please help me get my ebook on that bestsellers list so that way the Black world can take us seriously. Secondly, encourage African immigrants who live within the United States of America from 10 African nations: South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Angola, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria. Encourage them to work with me. This will help speed up the process. Now, I understand you all came over here to live out your American dream, but I need your help. It's been 34 years that Black Chicagoans have been acting funny style with me. But hey, this is my mandate. This is my calling. All I'm trying to do is get this Christian business up and running in the city of Chicago, and then I'm going to turn it over to my management team. I'm going to expand it to South Africa. Now, the reason why you're able to reach your American dream is because of my ancestors who fought and died during the civil rights era to help get African immigrants, Afro-Caribbeans, and other non-white immigrant groups in this country. Because let's keep it a buck. The white supremacist financial elites only wanted European immigrants here. White, that's white Europeans. Okay? The vision of GRCAM is to build a bridge between the African American community and the African immigrant community. Building this bridge is vital to the survival of Black Americans and African immigrants. Our main objective is for Black Americans who become GRCAM members, for them to heal from this slave mentality imposed on my people by the white supremacist financial elites, and for African immigrants who become GRCAM members, for them to heal from this colonized mindset imposed on them by the white supremacist financial elites. We will learn how to respect each other's culture, learn how to trust one another, learn how to do business with each other, so that way we can replicate this business as a business model on the African continent. That way we can do international trade in time with our brothers and sisters on the continent. We want the diaspora to invest in the people, the culture, help insist in building infrastructure and bringing business development to Africa, and vice versa for Native Africans and African immigrants here in America to do international trade with our people within the low-income African American community in order for there to be a win-win situation for both groups. We host these live, I would say, YouTube and Zoom events on the last Saturday of the month in order to interact with our listeners and to raise funds for our film project. Quote, Hood Liberator Made in Chicago, the war against Willie Lynch begins. That's based on my personal life experience about what I went through growing up in the inner cities and all of this unnecessary pushback, because I'm not getting pushback from white America. I'm getting pushback from Black America. And I'm like, my goodness. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all I'm trying to do is build something constructive. All I want to do is raise the bar, the standards. I don't want just anybody up in this business. We're going to scream. We want to separate ourselves from the enemy within. It's a big turnoff, but like I say, once I'm able to connect with the right people to be on my management team to help me, first, I want people to read my story. So I'm not asking you to give donations at this point in time. First thing first, please read my ebook. That's the cheapest one. It's $9.99. The name of my book is The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America, second edition. It's available on Amazon. I provide the, I would say my Amazon author page in the comment section below this audio podcast, as well as other information. And again, if I run out of time, please read my Medium transcript. Also, if you want to be part of our the panel for side B, then please make sure that you listen to the Willie Lynch audio book. I have that also in the comment section below this audio podcast. Take good notes, and then we can make that happen. You could be on the panel on Saturday, November 29th, and the time would be 2 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian time, 8 p.m., West African time, 9 p.m., South African time, 10 p.m., East African time, and 8 p.m. UK time. And that I will also have the Zoom link in there as well. Again, it will be called Re-examining the Willie Lynch letter and what can GRCAM members do about it. That will be side B. Right now I'm doing side A, where I'm trying my best to present my presentation. I've been telling GRCAM members for years that we have to look outside of America for opportunities. The white supremacist financial elites have ruined this nation because of their greed and Black anti-racism. I created this platform so that we can talk publicly about our issues among each other. I want us to start producing our own Black media. Africa is our birthright, and that's why I want to reconnect to my ancestral homeland. But first, I want to get it popping here in Chicago again for credibility. Because when I come to Africa, I want to come to bring economic tangibles, meaning when I come there, I want to be able to be in a position where I can hire Black South Africans, especially the Black South African youth, in order for them to feed their families. We are the last vanguard to global Black economic empowerment. This is why it's so important that GRCAM members build GRCAM Chicago, so that our brothers and sisters who are unable to leave America due to financial circumstances, they will have a place of their own for access to the global network in Africa, the Caribbean, and Brazil. Descendants of American slaves / freedmen and African immigrants are the last line of defense against global Black exploitation. So we want to compete against Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism been out for 125 years, and still, ain't nothing changed. Now, only reason I'm having a lot of problems again is because of that mindset. And I'm coming against that in Jesus' name. If we don't become the gatekeepers of our culture and our economics, then the whole global push for Black liberation collapses. And if we lose Africa, we lose everything. The Grassroots Community Activist Movement, thank you for considering supporting our film project by purchasing my ebook and reading my story for yourself. If you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, then you will automatically become a GRCAM member. You will play a crucial role in supporting our mission to create quality Black empowerment films to help us obtain seed money for our startup Christian business in Chicago, Illinois. With your support, we will be able to create quality films and offer viable insight for our Black artists, African artists, Black entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs. Our aim is to equip our members and students with knowledge and resources they need to succeed in their business ventures. By joining our membership program, you will have access to exclusive content, early previews of our film, videos, and articles, and the opportunity to engage with a community of like-minded individuals who share a passion for entrepreneurship and economic development. Your support will directly contribute to the growth and impact of the African American community and the African immigrant community in Chicago. Together, we can make a difference and unlock the potentials of Black entrepreneurs and African entrepreneurs. I'm passionate about my content that I create on YouTube, dedicated to telling real stories, sparking conversations, and creating content that inspires and empowers Black Americans and African people worldwide. Your support means the world to me, and every um every I would say support that we get matters. So in terms of your membership, just whatever you're able to contribute, we'll take that. We appreciate it. It's my goal through this film to reach the Black masses and the Black world in order to change lives through my work. Join us today and be a part of this exciting journey in Black America, changing lives with a new mindset. GRCAM Gold Getters. Choose your membership. Again, I don't want you to feel excluded because, you might not have the funds, but like I say, every little bit helps. So we appreciate. So number one, the bronze is $5 a month. This would include getting a shout out at the end of our audio podcast and video podcast as a supporter. But hold on before I go into all of that. We are using three, I would say, three crowdfunding sites. So that way, everybody will know exactly where the money is going. We're going to use So I'm using crowdfunding. Okay, so we're going to have a GoFundMe page, Buy Me a Coffee page, and PayPal Giving Fund page. So you can donate out of those three categories. But before you do all of that, please purchase my book first. That's all I'm asking all of my listeners, because that's the only thing that's holding me back. I can't. God give us free will. I've done all that I can do. I invested 34 years of my life trying to get this business up and running. I'm paying out of pocket since 2010 for a business. And yet I don't have support for the business. And that's a doggone shame. And that's how come I want the whole Black world to know my story. And I want to make sure none of my members have to go through this type of foolishness. This is extremely unacceptable. Now, again, I'm not going to cut and run to Africa until we get this thing popping here in America first. That's how come I'm reaching out to African immigrants that's here legally. That way we don't have any issues with the Trump administration. You ain't going to have no problems with ICE. All you're doing is buying a book. That's not illegal. That's not no scam. Anybody that thinks like that, I don't want them to be part of my business anyway. This is going to be membership based. I'm only responsible for GRCAM members. And I want to connect with all of my members, especially those that's right here in America, especially African immigrants, because you are the ones that's going to help me build this thing, as well as like-minded Black Americans beyond Chicago. Because, like I say, this slave mentality has a stronghold on our people. It is what it is. Okay, so getting back to that. So the first, because it's 4 categories. So bronze, that's $5 per month. This membership includes, like I say, get a shout out at the end of audio podcasts and a video podcast as a supporter, access to exclusive content not found on the internet, priority reply to comments, early access to new videos. Number 2, our silver, that's $25 per month. This membership includes access to exclusive content not found on the internet, behind the scenes of the film, get acknowledgement in the credits at the end of the film under producer, early access to the filming priority reply to comments, access to Q&A. Number 3, gold. That's $50 per month. Membership includes behind the scenes of the film, access to the business, access to my Facebook African group, GRCAM of Africa and GRCAM of Chicago, access to exclusive content not found on the internet, get acknowledgement in the credits at the end of the film under producer, 50% discount on all our projects and courses in GRCAM of Chicago, membership shout out, priority reply to comments, access to Q&A sessions. Number 4, platinum, $100 per month. This membership includes access to promote your business if you have one. If you're an author, you can promote your book. Or if you're a musician, you can promote your music. And also I just want to mention this too. For I would say unknown artists, and we will give you opportunities to play your music if you become a GRCAM member, to promote your music in our films and stage plays, as well as in our live events. This is what we're going to do in this business. Also, I want to make sure that that you can be in the film as well, in our future films. So we want to do that as well. That's what this thing is all about. Is about helping those in the low-income African American community. Help stop the genocide in American ghettos is about getting our youth off the streets and out of gangs, and rewarding them, putting through my business by putting money in their pockets so that they can feed their families. This is all I've been trying to do since 1991. And like I say, I mean, if I didn't care, I would have left this thing, I would have left it alone years ago. But I got my book out here. I got receipts. I back up everything I say, and I'm standing on business. That's all. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to mention about that. It's a lot of information, but like I say, I'm just trying to get this thing popping. Oh, yes. What I want to say is that we will have, for our youth, we will have Christian spoken word versus secular spoken word. And whoever can flow the best at our live events, they will win $1,000 in cash. I'm just saying. That's our way of, trying to, get our youth off the streets. Yes, it's a shame that, last weekend, another youth was killed downtown. They call it some type of teen takeover. And that's not cool. So, and it makes the city looks bad. You know what I'm saying? That's a tourist attraction downtown, and they go down there shooting and, just bring, all that, the most, it just makes Black Chicago looks horrible. And it's not just in Black Chicago, it's all over our inner cities across the United States. But over here, we want to raise the bar, but I don't want to spend the rest of my life being on the first page or first base. That's how come I want to turn the business over, and I want to take it to Africa and work with African families that want more out of life. Okay, so platinum, that's what you would get. You would be able to get behind the scene content, digital downloads, access to interviews and consultation, access to exclusive content not found on the internet, 75% discount on our workshops and seminars, get acknowledgement in the credits at the end of the film under producer, priority reply to comments, member shout outs, access to Q&A sessions. Our presentation for today, quote, where the title of this presentation is Re-examining the Willie Lynch letter and what GRCAM members can do about it. Learn how division and control were used as tools of psychological manipulation during slavery and why this controversial letter still shapes conversations today. Willie Lynch gave his speech in 1712, yet many years later, his word still is in effect in the African American community. It's time to shed light on the fundamentals of what was created to further keep us suppressed. It's time to rise above the curse of Deuteronomy 28 and turn back to the Father of heaven. In him, we have it all, but apart from him, we have nothing. The purpose of me talking about this letter is to shed light on this issue and to discuss the truth about what has occurred for centuries against Black people and African people. It was actually the evil plan designed to keep African slaves in bondage. They knew that physical abuse alone would not work because our ancestors will keep rising up and fighting against American slavery. Willie Lynch, the author, decided he would go around spreading his ideas to slave owners about how to control their African slaves. The narration that he gave was a compared skin tone to a wild animal, a horse, in his analogy of breaking a wild horse to control their African slaves. He goes into details about putting slaves against one another and other racial groups against us so that nobody trusts dark-skinned individuals. Look at it today. We don't trust ourselves as a collective. Willie Lynch is alive and well. We hate each other. Look how urban terrorists kill our children on a weekly basis. We have hated ourselves so much that many of our sisters are bleaching themselves or getting BBLs, Brazilian butt lifts to enhance their body parts. His plan has worked like a charm. The Creator has promised in His word there will be justice for us. The white supremacist financial elites stripped away our language, our religion, and our customs. They began to implement this whole structure on how to control the African slave. And in his letter, he states that taking the strong African man and breaking him down in front of everyone. Once they have successfully broke down the African man, then they turned their attention to the African woman. They wanted her to raise her sons with fear in order to keep them alive. So they say, take away the African man, you leave the African woman to depend on their slave owners. The author knew that if he was able to implement his fear in the woman, she would do whatever it takes to avoid losing her son. Willie Lynch was meant to reverse God's order. It's up to us to begin to work to break away from this Willie Lynch curse and to begin to raise our Black boys and Black girls as strong, independent future leaders. That's what I'm trying to build in this business of mine. We have to learn about the tactics they use to enslave us so that we can use those same tactics to free ourselves. We have to turn back to our Creator and trust that He will lead us in a different path. This information is important to our survival and is ultimately going to determine where we end up as a people as well as a nation. When you read through this letter, most Black Americans have said that the letter was not real. If that was the case, then why is it so on point and accurate? I read this letter back in the 90s. The power of division among Black people is globally. If you want to break this slave mentality and take back the power from the white supremacist financial elites, then we must confront the issue and stop passing down this dysfunctional behavior to our children. This is the main purpose why I'm fighting so hard to connect with other like minded Black Americans beyond Chicago and like minded African immigrants across the United States of America and encourage them to read my ebook or my soft cover book. And for them to connect with me because in my book, I provide my email address so that way I can connect with all my readers, especially those those that disagree. I recommend that they delete me off their friends list and they go on about their business. I don't have time for them. My focus is on those that really want real change at the community level. My online platform and through my future docu-drama, eventually through my real Christian business, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. In this letter, it mentions a foolproof method for controlling African slaves and the author guaranteed once this method is used, that the slave owner will have control over his slaves for at least 300 years. He outlined a number of differences among the slaves. He used fear, distrust, and envy to control the African slave. So listen to that. Fear, distrust, and envy. For example, let's use the police. The mainstream media shows a police officer shooting down an unarmed Black American based on the media propaganda. It makes you believe that road cops only do this to Black Americans to make us feel fearful about all law enforcement. That's part of the tactics used from the Willie Lynch letter. The same thing was used during slavery. They would beat and hang a runaway slave in front of the rest of the slaves' population to put fear in their hearts. In the letter, he used distrust because when a person distrusts you, a lot of times you're trying to gain that trust from someone. I have ran across a lot of brothers and sisters who are paranoid and think that everything is a scam. We can't deal with those type of people. In my Christian business, we will raise the bar in Black America and be on the lookout against con artists and anyone else who would try to undermine us. This is why I want our business to have a thumbprint technology so that we can hold everyone accountable for their actions. Our Christian business will be membership based. I am only responsible for GRCAM members. Many of the slave rebellions were prevented because the slave owners had loyal slaves, letting the slave owners know ahead of time who was talking about running off the plantations. Today, many of our Black politicians are in the pockets of the white supremacist financial elites, and we wonder why our community and neighborhood remain in the same conditions over 25 years ago. Because Black Americans keep reelecting them to public office instead of demanding economic tangibles for our votes. As I mentioned in my revised book, if we don't confront and correct this slave mentality in Black society, then this will be the fall of Black America. It's all about control. Now, the author explains how his method will work. He mentioned the plantation in the West Indies, which is the Caribbeans. He discussed the differences among the African slaves. On the top of his list is age. young versus old. The second is colorism, dark skin versus light skin. The third is living conditions, house Negroes versus field Negroes. Then height, tall versus short. The female slave versus the male slave. He also said um, you must all. Um, he said that all white overseers must distrust all Black African slaves. A majority of our issues are linked back to the Willie Lynch letter. No other group in the United States of America have been ripped apart like Black Americans. So when other groups try to compare themselves to us, there's no comparisons. The author said after the slave indoctrination, the African slave will become self self-fulfilling for the next 300 years. He said it is necessary that your slave trust and depend on them. They must love, respect, and only trust the slave owners. Now that portion right there is what really hits home with me. The author taught his people to teach the African slaves to distrust all other African slaves. We've seen this when they say Willie Lynch letter is fake. It's not fake. It's based on what we see now. This is the continued divide and conquer mentality that has kept us enslaved for the past 400 years. This is why it's so important that we create our own social media sites, our own Black institutions. The white supremacist financial elites have divided us based on economic status, middle class Blacks and upper class Blacks. We further divide ourselves based on religion and political affiliation. All right, let me check my time because um, it's not going to let me be on here too long. So, trying to see what's going on. Um, well, I'm still looking. It says I still have some time. So, all right, cool. All right, so I have sacrificed 34 years encouraging Black Americans, specifically Black Chicagoans, online and in real life about my vision and plan to help improve our communities. And like I said, a majority of them told me that they're not interested. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. It is what it is. Um, in my business, we're going to be about separating ourselves from the enemy within. Rather, it's our own family members or friends who are con artists. So we want to separate ourselves from con artists, Black Boule, degenerates, Democrat shields, hardened criminals, pedophiles, off-code Negroes, and urban terrorists. The majority of Black Chicagoans have ignored me, and we wonder why we are still divided. In GRCAM, Chicago, Black Americans will heal from this slave mentality. And African immigrants will heal from this colonized mindset. We will respect each other's culture and learn how to do business with each other. We will reject drill music, which glorifies self-destruction. There is a cultural war being waged against Black Americans, particularly those in media, music, and entertainment. The negative images being portrayed are designed to destroy us. The glorification of violence, drug dealing, sexuality, and materialism is not our culture. We, when we consume and celebrate media that degrades us, we are participating in our own oppression. For example, hip hop started out as a vehicle for truth telling and resistance, but now it has been largely corrupted and turned into a soundtrack of self destruction. They're getting radio play and streaming playlists. The music that's getting promoted the most is often the music that reinforces the worst stereotypes about Black people, and we consume it um, uncritically. We let our children absorb it. We defend it as artistic expression while ignoring that it is shaping minds and normalizing behaviors that lead to our destruction. Since the end of the Civil Rights era, a majority of Black Americans have become Americanized and have developed a narcissist attitude against our people. Nowadays, we spend our money with everyone else except with each other. We tie, we tear each other down on social media for likes and clicks, and we have adopted the values of our oppressors, measuring success by wearing name brand items and how much we could consume rather than how much we could build. We internalize the belief that supporting each other is less important than individual advance, advancements. And like the Willie Lynch letter, we allow colorism, classism, religion, and political affiliation divide us into subgroups, each thinking that they're better than the other. Again, for 34 years, I have served Black America and tried to create a new Black movement. GRCAM focused on challenging the slave mentality by offering spirituality, social, and promoting Black economic empowerment. I have been committed to focusing on Black liberation. Black Americans we're failing our children and our community. We have allowed hardened criminals to hijack our low-income African American neighborhoods, and we have to take responsibility for the current condition our people are living in. White supremacist financial elites or white supremacy has created these social problems we now face in our communities. The white supremacist financial elites allow our middle class and upper class Blacks to integrate into their white suburbs after the civil rights era. Once that occurred, our communities were soft targets and vulnerable. They decided to flood our communities with drugs, guns, and liquor stores, which I call, in my revised book, the perfect genocide of a people, physically and politically. We had internalized behavior and mindset that were destroying us from within. The systems of oppression were in place. We did not build any Black institution. We embraced individualism. Social integration without economic power was a trap. If we do not control the resources in our own community, we will always be at the mercy of others. Ghettos Chicago would teach our members and students about financial literacy, how to start a business and generate wealth that can be passed down to the next generation. Every other group that comes to America learns how to build economic power within a generation or two. But Black Americans have, as a collective, still do not own significant portions of the economy in our own neighborhoods. For example, look at any Black neighborhood in America and notice who owns the businesses, who owns the gas stations, who owns the real estate. A majority of them are not us. We spend our money everywhere except with each other. And when someone tries to start a Black business, we are the first to criticize the person to find an excuse to take our money elsewhere. Meanwhile, other communities circulate their dollars 7, 8, or even 9 times before it leaves. Economic power is the foundation of political power and self determination. This Willie Lynch letter among slavery and oppression has damaged the Black family structure, creating distrust and dysfunction between Black men and Black women. This is this is why it's important that Black Americans support my film project so that the proceeds from the film will help put me in a better position financially so that I can purchase property in Chicago, Illinois, buy office equipment, hire qualified Black middle class professionals and qualified African immigrants to help me build an effective and successful Black Christian business. This will um, So that's why that's important. Um, Black men and black women are more divided than ever. Social media has amplified our grievance. We express our dysfunction publicly, turning our pain into entertainment. And in the middle of all of this division, our children are suffering, our families are fractured, and our enemies are laughing because as long as we're fighting each other, we're not building. Without a connection to Jesus slash Joshua and a submission to divine guidance, then we will be a lost people. In GRCAM Chicago, we will teach our members and students how to purify ourselves, discipline our desires, and align our lives with righteous principles. A people without morality, without values, without spiritual foundation would self destruct no matter how much money or political power they accumulate. Now, look at us. Many of us have rejected spirituality altogether, embracing a secular world that offers no moral compassion, no sense of purpose beyond pleasure and accumulation. How many of us mock those who are religious, treating faith as a crutch for the weak minded? The same forces that wanted to strip us of our economic and political power also want to strip us of our spiritual power because the spiritually grounded people cannot be controlled. As we as a people have adopted the culture of our oppressors, we worship money, fame, and pleasure. We have embraced individualism over community. We have prioritized comfort over struggle. We have become more concerned with being accepted by white America than being liberating ourselves. We let our egos, our grudges, our petty difference fracture us even more. As a result, we are weaker now than we were 60 years ago. Not because we lack resources or intelligence, but because we lack unity. We cannot ignore a message for decades, which were the era of warning. Now we're in the era of consequences. The American empire is about to fall, and I don't plan on remaining in America much longer, being bogged down and stagnant with American issues. I want to contribute to the African rising. This is why I'm reaching out to African immigrants in America to work with me so that we can build Chicago and expand it to the African continent. So help me God. You cannot refuse to build with me, then all of a sudden wonder why we don't have anything in our community. Black America did not build economic and political power. We did not gatekeep our culture. We did not establish a moral foundation. I warned Black Americans back in the 90s that illegal immigration would push us in the back of the line. They said I was talking crazy. As a result, illegal immigration immigrants have taken our jobs, resources, and our political power. I have been dropping science on Black American since 1991, explaining to Black Americans what would happen if we didn't protect our economic and political interests from illegal immigration. And what did we do? What I predicted in my revised book is now starting to come to pass. And now we're looking dumbfounded. They have leapfrogged over us economically while we're still begging for crumbs. I came with data, historical analysis, and economic projections. I laid it out plain. Illegal immigration, the way it was being structured in the 90s, would directly compete against us. I explained that illegal immigrants would be positioned as preferred minorities. I warned us how they would get government contracts, small business loans, and corporate diversity positions, the things that were supposed to be to compensate us due to systematic exclusion. We needed to organize and protect our interests and demand the remedies for slavery and Jim Crow go specifically to our group, Black Americans, not all people of color, not all minorities, just us. Black Americans didn't listen. Our people were caught up in this black and brown coalition and people of color solidarity. We allowed white liberals and some of our own to convince us that advocating specifically for Black Americans was somewhat being selfish. Meanwhile, all these other groups were looking out for their own interests. Asians and Latino immigrant communities have made huge economic gains. They open businesses in Black neighborhoods with ac- with access to capital we can't get. They move into corporate diversity positions through programs designed for us. They build political machines that now control cities where Black Americans have lived for generations. They practice group economics, ethnic solidarity, and strategic self-interest without apology. And where are we? We're still fighting for reparations, still fighting police brutality, still fighting the same wealth gap, still fighting for quality schools, still fighting for economic opportunities. We're having the exact same conversation we had back in the 90s. While immigrants who moved in here in the 90s have built businesses, accumulated wealth, and positioned their children for generation success. This is what upsets me because it was completely preventable. American use immigration as a buffer class against black progress. Every time we start demanding fairness, all of a sudden the doors open for new immigrants as a deflection. It's psychological warfare designed to de- delegitimize our claims for compensation. These other groups have not been historically targeted and sabotaged by the US government. Migrants don't have the same historical claims we do. Someone who migrated to America back in 1998 wasn't enslaved for 246 years. They didn't endure Jim Crow. They didn't experience redlining. Um, their communities weren't firebombed when they achieved prosperity. Their grandparents wasn't excluded from the GI Bill. They don't carry centuries of compound economic death and trauma. That doesn't inval- invalidate their struggle in their homeland, but it does mean their claims on American resources are fundamentally different from ours. When programs designed to remedy anti-black progression gets expanded to include everyone who's non-white, we end up with nothing. The remedy gets diluted until it's meaningless. For example, affirmative action in higher education was created specifically because Black Americans were systematically barred from universities, but it expanded to cover all minorities. Asian students benefited, Latino students benefited significantly. And when the Supreme Court struck down affirmative action in 2023, we lost a program that never adequately served us because it got watered down to help everyone else except us, specifically with minority business programs. Uh, Qualification for programs meant to address centuries of excluded Black Americans from capital and business ownership. Walk through any Black neighborhood in America. Count the immigrant owned businesses operating on minority business loans while Black residents can't get approved for nothing. Other groups benefit from programs created because of our oppression while we stay broke. Other groups don't have this problem because they don't have our history. Latino community or organize around Pacific Latino interests. They push bilingual education. They advocate for immigration reform. They elect Latino candidates. They support Latino businesses. Nobody calls them div- divisive. The same thing with Asians. Let black people or let black Americans organize specifically for black Americans' interests, and all of a sudden we're divisive or decisive. We're xenophobic. We're told we need to build coalitions and think about all people of color. Meanwhile, every other group is building political and economic power. The civil rights generation wanted to be inclusive. They wanted to save everybody. And while we were saving everybody else, we lost everything. That's not nobility, that's stupidity. Fast forward 2025, immigrants communities here for one or two generations are economically surpassing Black Americans whose families built this country for free. We're watching immigrant politicians represent districts where Black Americans are the majority. We're seeing immigrant business dominate Black commercial corridors. We're watching resources get distributed to everyone else except the people who actually have a historical grievance. We're still having the same conversation about wealth gap and systematic racism. Nothing has changed for us. Everything has changed for them. That's not a coincidence. That's the consequences of Black Americans refusing to embrace my vision and plan. Here's the psychological manipulation at play. They convince us that protecting our, our interests is morally wrong. They made us feel guilty for wanting what every other group aims for: political and economic power. They weaponize our desire to be seen as good, moral, and inclusive against our own economic survival. Now we're watching immigrants advance in corporate positions while Black unemployment stays high. We're watching them gain political power in our districts while our interests are ignored. We're watching them build wealth in our neighborhoods while our communities stay broke. And we're supposed to celebrate diversity and inclusion while we're being systematically replaced. This is what I tried to warn our people about 30 years ago. We had 30 years to organize, delineate, and protest our interests. We spent those 30 years being good coalition partners while everyone else was building economic and political power. But here's what we can do now: stop repeating the same mistakes. Stop letting these other groups shame us into silence about our Pacific interests. Stop diluting our power in coalition where we're the only ones sacrificing. Stop letting programs created specifically for us benefit everyone else. We need to demand lineage based verification for any programs claiming to remedy anti Black oppression. We need to support Black American businesses and stop funding everyone else. We need to vote only for candidates who commit to Black American policies. Family, we cannot afford to continue to ignore the vision and plan that my Creator has placed in my heart to share with us. Because if we don't change the course now, the next 15 years will be even worse for our children. They will become a permanent underclass while everyone else continue to advance. In America, morality without economic power is just another form of slavery. You can be morally right and broke, or you can be strategic and wealthy. As I mentioned in my revised book, the Latino community is going to fight like hell to make sure that their people who are here illegally become U.S. citizens. I also said that if we don't fix the slave mentality among our group, then this will be the downfall of Black America. I noticed a change in 2020. 2008 during the housing crisis, 2021 COVID-19 pandemic, and now the government shutdown in 2025. America has a $36 trillion debt. We have to sacrifice time, money, comfort, and sometimes safety to build Black institutions and create change. But we live in a generation that does not want to sacrifice. We want results without effort. We want liberation without struggle. And that is not how things work. We need to build for ourselves, not integrate into a system designed to exploit us. We chose social integration and cultural assimilation. Now we are integrated into a burning house. The work of Black liberation belongs to all of us, not just the leaders. We are the ones who have to implement the vision. We are the ones who have to build the institutions. We have intelligence, we have resources, we have the numbers. The collapse of the American empire has begun. When you look at what's happening in 2025, America, America's morals have spiraled downward in the last 30 years. When decency becomes optional and corruption becomes the norm, that nation is falling from the inside. We've got leaders at the highest levels of government stealing without consequences. The moral foundation of this country is eroding. We got corporations stealing billions while paying small fines as the cost of doing business. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens are going to prison for years over minor offenses. The economic collapse is driven by greed and inequality. The white supremacist financial elites obsessed with wealth and material gain has destroyed the entire economic system. For example, the working poor can't afford housing, health care, or food without government assistance. The middle class is disappearing. America's global influence is shrinking. Other nations like Africa are joining BRICS to compete against the American dollar. The American empire is crumbling, and instead of changing course, American leadership is doubling down on the same failed strategies that got us here. America will tear itself apart through racial, political, and social conflict. We're living in the most divided America in modern history. We got people ready to go to war with their neighbors over ideological differences. The fall of the American empire is not about America, about Black people. Just like the children of Israel who came out of Egypt with great wealth, they were not judged for Egypt's sin. We are coming out of this American system which has oppressed us for 400 years. The plague has fell on Egypt. We're not meant for Israelites. The destruction was aimed at Pharaoh and his kingdom. Black Americans did not create white supremacy and this system of oppression. We were the ones oppressed by it. We did not create the moral decay. Our ancestors fought for morality and justice while being denied both. We did not create economic inequality. We were the ones systematically excluded from wealth building opportunities for centuries. We did not sow the seeds of division. We were the ones struggling for unity and freedom while being divided and conquered. We did not stop trying to fate to a nation that has never valued our lives, our labor, or our contribution. Black Americans have been loyal to a country that has never been loyal to us. Our ancestors built this nation for free, and what we got in return: systematic oppression, economic exploitation, political, um, the um, political disenfranchisement, and social my marginalization. The fall of the American empire is the consequence of America's sins, not ours. The moral bankruptcy, the corruption the corrupt justice system and economic exploitation, and the international arrogance and the internal division. All of that is the fruit of seeds planted by the white supremacist financial elites and capitalist greed. We are the victims of the system, not the beneficiaries. So when those systems collapse, we should not mourn. We should prepare to create economic systems that serve our best interests and our communities. Prepare to define success and prosperity in ways that don't require us to beg for crumbs from the table we built. The fall of American empire could be the rise of Black America if we play it smart. Remember, the children of Israel didn't leave Egypt empty handed. They left with gold, silver, and resources. They took what was owed to them for generations of unpaid labor. They didn't apologize for it. They didn't feel guilty about it. They understood that they were owed and they collected. We have a powerful story too. We came out of slavery. We survived Jim Crow. We endured systematic terrorism and oppression that would have destroyed any other group, but we're still here. The US government has weaponized SNAP assistance like it's a nuclear option. But here's what they forgot. Black Americans have survived even worse with less. The month of November opened up the eyes around the globe about what's happening in America. I want to talk about something that nobody else is discussing. That's going to make some people uncomfortable, but it needs to be said. There are 42 million Americans households depending on SNAP assistance in this country. For far too long, the conversation about food stamps has been framed as Black Americans in the face of food stamps, as if we're the primary beneficiaries, as if our entire community's survival hinges on government assistance. That's a narrative designed to make us look weak, dependent, incapable. And I'm here to tell you that narrative is propaganda. SNAP recipients represent different races and ethnicities. White, about 37%, Black or African Americans, 26%, Hispanics, 16%, Asians, 3%, and Native Americans, about 2%. About 16% of participants are categorized as race unknown. This, oh, okay, and I cite my source, if you scroll down on my Medium transcript under show and prove, I cite my sources on that so you know, you can challenge me on that. Like I say, I come with receipts. I write my speeches, put in my own words, try to put it in layman terms, but bottom line, this is important that we hear what I'm saying because I'm talking about real life, what's going on out here. Let me check my time and see. All right, I don't know.